Now, it's believed that Florida State is at rock bottom right now, when no matter what happens, they can't go any lower. Well, I'm here to tell you that Florida State definitely could go past below rock bottom, because they right now are a 33-point favorite against Charleston Southern. And like Florida State, Charleston Southern also is having an awful season. They're 1-9. They're 15th in points per game. Well, they're only averaging 15 points per game, and they're allowing 25 points per game on defense. Meanwhile, Florida State, I mean, it's a struggle for them to just get the 20 points. So with them being a 33-point favorite, that means that they're going to score their season high in points, and they're going to have their best game on offense, which I expect to happen. Although Florida State has been a dumpster fire this year, there's no way they can lose to Charleston Southern, right? And it's even insane that we're even having this discussion, because going into this season, this was the same team that was favored to win the ACC and get into the playoffs after they got snubbed. But with how bad they've been this year, I think this is a fair discussion to have, because, I mean, who can Florida State beat with the way they play? Their quarterbacks look inaccurate, and even when their quarterbacks can't hit a dude in stride, the receivers normally drop the ball routinely. So your receivers have butterfingers. Your offensive line isn't that good in run blocking or pass protection. Mike Norvell has already cleaned house, with nearly his entire staff firing his OC and defensive coordinator. I could see a world where Charleston Southern ends up pulling off the upset against Florida State. I would be surprised if it were to happen, because I still think that Florida State has more than enough talent to blow this team out and cover that spread, but I don't really think it's a sure thing. And I really believe that we could see Florida State lose this game based off how they've looked this season, because, I mean, you can't put it past anybody to beat Florida State at this point. I don't even think they could beat FAMU. If FSU were to play FAM right now, I would bet all my money on the house on FAMU winning that game, because Florida State just hasn't looked like a team this year. They haven't really played with a lot of passion. Guys don't really have a lot of heart. That's why they got so many missed tackles. They're not really a physical football team either. Like, if Florida State has been this bad, how can you really count out the possibility of them losing to Charleston Southern? Because right now, they just don't look like a team. They just look like a bunch of players out there just playing football. That's what it looks like to me. So I wouldn't rule out Charleston Southern winning this game, although I would be surprised if they were to do that. Because although Florida State is at rock bottom, you know, I still expect them to beat Charleston Southern. This is still an FCS opponent. And listen, I am a Miami Hurricanes fan. A lot of y'all know that, but I'm not trolling. I'm not trying to be funny right now. Like, there's a good chance Charleston Southern wins this game. I would be shocked if it happens, trying to reiterate that for the last and final time. But it's just that, I mean, I don't really know who Florida State can beat. You feel me? With how this team has looked, guys can't even do the simple things. When you can't even do the simple things such as catching the ball, I mean, I don't think that it's, you know, blasphemous to say that they could lose to Charleston Southern. And Charleston Southern, they don't even have a quarterback that's thrown for more than 1,000 yards, and the season's about all but over. So they're not a good team themselves. So FSU should win this game. I expect them to, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they lost, because they've lost to everybody they played other than Cal this year, and they haven't looked like a good team, and a lot of their last few games have just been absolute blowouts. So, I mean, for Florida State, man, listen, you're not playing for a bowl game, but you definitely are playing for pride, and you're playing for respect. Because if you lose to Charleston Southern, then you go below rock bottom. And I don't know what level is below rock bottom, probably hell. But that's what Florida State would be in if they lose this game. And Mike Norvell would have to get fired. If Florida State can't beat Charleston Southern handily, you got to fire Mike Norvell. I don't care how big the buyout is. Hell, I'll throw in $10, $15 for Mike Norvell's buyout if Florida State loses this game as a Hurricanes fan, because this is just sad. That would be pathetic if you lose to Charleston Southern. They may be just as bad as what you are, but you don't got to lose to them. You are Florida State. So I listen, listen. There is a chance they could lose this game. It really is, because at this point, I don't know who Florida State can beat.